friends, welcome back to the podcast. I am on the road this week, and I was on the road because I am recording some coursework that I'm very excited to share with you in the near future, but I'm not telling you quite yet. It's a secret. And anyways, I am in a town called Leavenworth, Washington. If you are from Washington State, you probably know of this little town, but it's only a couple hours away from where I live, and got a cool little cabin. Actually posted a very fall-centric TikTok this week. Had a lot of fall vibes. Anyways, we're going to be talking about each of the type's relational issues, well, most likely the relational issues that each type has. And this will be helpful for those of you that maybe don't know exactly what your type is, or if you know what your type is, you'll be able to listen up and hear some of the things that may be pain points for you in your relationships, especially with those very close ones, like a partner, a spouse, or a close friend. So like I said, we are going to be talking about those relational issues. So if you do know your type, maybe listen up and understand, and you'll be able to maybe understand a little bit better on why you feel like these things are happening. It might just be the fact that you are living in an old storyline and it's showing itself in those relational issues. So again, like I've done in the last couple of weeks, I am going to be pulling information straight from my guide sheets that I take each of you through when you sign up for coaching. So I got these guide sheets from my coach, and so they are originally from her, but that was part of my package as I got certified and learned about how to coach and what the Enneagram is and all that good stuff. And so I call them my guide sheets because I take everyone through them, but they're originally from her, your Enneagram coach. But I am trying to take you through these little bits of micro coaching, is what I'm calling them, to kind of give you a sense of who I am, how I coach, and why this might be important for you. And what we're going through today, what we went through last week, 2 weeks ago, and then 3 weeks ago, all from these guide sheets are all something that I was recording this weekend here in a cabin in Leavenworth. So I'm excited to share this with you, but let's not waste any more time. We'll get right into it. I've got the Type 8 guide sheet up here on my laptop, just below the camera here, and I'm just going to read through like I would if we were in a coaching session, just you and I. So, a relationship issue. So these are the things that generally, not all of these are going to be like 100% spot on, because you are you and there's no one like you. But these are, for the most part, true statements and true things for the type that your personality has held on to. So let's read this together. You are desirable partners. Again, these are type 8s. Because you are capable, strong, confident, and great leaders. Others feel safe and reassured by your healthy strength and protective tendencies. You draw others in with your intensity, passion, and charisma. However, these same qualities can push others away if you are unhealthy. When struggling, you can be oppressive, insensitive, demanding, and possibly mean-spirited. When you are too forceful, it can create problems in your relationships, including, and then I've got 3 points here. You can lose your temper, go into a rage, or withdraw if you feel hurt or suspect that others have rejected, betrayed, or been inauthentic with you. You can be possessive, jealous, intensive, and possibly vengeful. You may not respect your partner, using forceful tactics to change them into who you want them to be. So if you are a type 8 or you're not a type 8, you don't know your type, the question I have for you, and I would have for every type after I finish reading, is this true of you? And maybe this is something where, this would be my coaching tip for you this week, was maybe if you don't feel like these things are true, but maybe like a little bit, maybe involve your partner in some of these questions. Like, maybe you need to go to somebody and say, hey, have I lost my temper, or have I felt possessive to you, or, these things like that, because it's helpful to have an outside perspective when learning these things about us, especially obviously in relationship. So there are a few relationship issues for type 8. Let's head over to type 9. All right, my type 9s, and if you didn't know myself, I am a type 9. I don't know if you're really getting that vibe from this podcast, but it's a very 9-y vibe, this episode. I'm very comfortable, and I'm holding the microphone because I don't have a place to put my stand. It's just a real 9-y vibe on this podcast this week. Anyways, let's talk about relationship issues for us 9s. People are drawn to you because you are affirming, comforting, supportive, and warm. You enjoy being connected with your partner, and you are easily adaptable to others' desires and needs without needing much in return. You appear uncomplicated, undemanding, and accommodating. You, of course, do have personal needs, and when they are not met, you begin to shut down. You withdraw from others rather than risk communicating your needs and enter into a conflict. Other relational issues include, before I read those, if you are a 9 or a type 9, did you notice the cycle in those two sentences right there? You, of course, do have personal needs, and when they're not met, you shut down and you withdraw rather than risk communicating your needs. And then when you withdraw, you go further away from the partner and your needs continue to not be met. And then you withdraw further and the cycle continues, right? So here are some relational issues that are possible. You can be very stubborn and desire autonomy, but agree to things with no intention of following through. I will be honest, I do this regularly. It's a lot of work to be cognizant of showing up for yourself. When you show up for yourself inside of a relationship, the relationship is better, I promise. The other one, instead of dealing with issues, you become numb, emotionally unavailable, and withdrawn. You want connection, but simultaneously don't want to be bothered, which is confusing to others. And you can be blind when your deep well of anger eventually erupts like a volcano. This inability to see how your actions negatively impacts others can lead to relational distance. And if you are a 9 or a 9, we desire connection with a partner, with a friend, with a family member, but we are our own worst enemies, as most of us often are. All right, type 1s. Let's talk about some relational issues you may find yourself in. You take your relationships and your relational duties very seriously. You are firmly committed and willing to make great personal sacrifices for the people that you love. As with other areas of life, you are idealistic and hold high standards for your relationships. You need to have a partnership based on shared values and beliefs. The following areas can create problems. Holding others to strict standards that you may not wholeheartedly share. Having difficulty finding close relationships because no one really measures up. Possibly becoming uncommunicative, depressed, and moody because of your repressed anger. That one there is kind of leaning on the fact that 1 moving over to 4 in stress or unhealth. Not allowing enough playtime in the relationship. Mostly because you're feeling like all spare time should be set up for serious purposes, like chores or finances or, discussing something that's important to you, or possibly even meaningful books, these kinds of things that aren't really free playtime. Fearing criticism from others, especially a partner, which can hurt a lot more. Or becoming critical of others by being nitpicky, scolding, and correcting at every turn. My question again for you as a type 1 or someone that may know a type 1, is this true of you? If you don't know your type, I still ask the question, is it true of you? And maybe it's time to bring someone in, a close person, to ask some of these questions. Say, do I operate this way? And maybe you'll be able to understand the story in which you are living. All right, type 2s or friends of type 2s, listen up. This is the relational issues that you may find yourself in. You focus most of your energy on relationships. You are generous with your time and attention and truly want your loved ones to be happy and feel well cared for. Problems develop, however, when you go overboard with your efforts to be close to loved ones, often in these following areas. You try too hard to please others by selling yourself out for affection and appreciation. You tend to hover and do not give the other person adequate space for fear of being abandoned. You expect your partner to read your mind and know your needs, and you are disappointed when loved ones fail to anticipate your desires or needs. You can become possessive and jealous of your partner for spending time with other people. And if you cannot acknowledge your hurts, needs, and waves of anger, then the relationship can be damaged. If you are a type 2, know a type 2, or maybe this is resonating for you and you don't know exactly yet, one tip that I always give every type 2 when it comes to relationship is speak your need directly. When you think that you are speaking it directly or clearly, double down on that because it may not be as clear as you think it is, all right? Let's move on to type 3. All right, my type 3 friends, or friends of type 3s, here are relational issues that you might find yourself in. You have magnetic personality. Others find you appealing because you appear polished, enchanting, and confident in any given situation. You work at being dynamic, attractive, and in good physical condition. You want your partner to be proud of you and your accomplishments, so you seek out people who will appreciate and affirm you. Problems can arise because of your underlying insecurities. You're fearing rejection. You may prevent others from getting too close. Significant relationship issues may include presenting a favorable image instead of your authentic self, fearing that people only want you for your looks or your abilities, being a workaholic as a way to gain recognition and respect to avoid intimacy, and you can place pressure on others to appear admirable and successful. So the cycle there for a type 3 would be, I want closeness, I want authenticity, I want to be my most authentic self, especially with my partner, but you present a favorable image or the mask goes on, and then the cycle begins, right? That you're trying to figure out how to be authentic, but you keep putting on a mask so that your partner finds you valuable or attractive or admirable, and your partner's wanting that authentic you, so the cycle continues. So bring your partner in on some of these questions. Maybe they can help you take off the mask. Type 4s, let's talk about some relationship issues you may find yourself in. Since you are the romantics of the Enneagram, you place a lot of focus on your relationships. When healthy, you are sensitive to others and their feelings. You enjoy authentic, personal sharing. You are excellent listeners and are attentive when others express themselves. Unfortunately, you also tend to get caught up in your own emotions, reactions, and dramas. When this happens, you have difficulty seeing or hearing others objectively. Your strong responses and fantasies can inhibit interpersonal connections. You tend to have the following relationship issues: becoming self-absorbed and uninterested in others' feelings due to your own overwhelming emotions that you just can't seem to let go of. Idealizing potential partners, then feeling disappointed and rejecting them once you get to know them. You place great expectations on the partner for nurturing and support, and possibly being temperamental, wounded, or annoyed and making others walk on eggshells. This is a fantastic one, especially for type 4s, because when you bring a partner into some of these questions, you begin to realize that your world is much bigger than the internal world that you've created in your head. And that's where a lot of 4s go when they find themselves in stress. So bring someone into this conversation so that you can get outside of your own head and come back into reality. And your relationship will be greatly benefited because you do so. I hope that helps. All right, type 5s, let's talk about some relationship issues you may find yourself in. Most people have a hard time understanding you since you interact with the world differently. Life and relationships drain your internal batteries quickly, so you need a lot of time alone to recharge. You want relationships, but you're generally unable to compromise your solitude. Others might misunderstand this as not wanting to be with them, and when you do find someone who understands your world and interest and whom you respect, you are dedicated friends and partners. You make great companions introducing new ideas to others. You must find a balance between the desire for solitude and the desire for meaningful connection. I know that you have a desire for solitude, a need for solitude, and a desire for connection. My question up front for you would be, do you think that you actually need as much alone time as you do? It's probable that you don't. So, your relationship issues may include the following: frequently feeling intruded on while seeking privacy, retreating from people in rejection, and becoming overwhelmed by the emotional needs of others, right? So, type 5s, you find yourself in the thinking triad, also known as the fear center, and you spend a lot of time thinking, but there's not a whole lot of time spent in the emotional center. And when you bring in a partner with some of these questions, have them help you move into the feeling space. It will be uncomfortable. It could be frustrating. It might take a while, but your relationship will be greatly benefited if you are able to bring a partner in and allow them to introduce you to more of the emotional side of life. Okay, my type 6 friend, relationship issues you may find yourself in are you can be confusing in relationships because you can see two sides to every situation. This causes you to be unpredictable and uncertain. In one moment, you might feel nervous and want reassurance that your partner still supports you. In the next moment, you can feel overwhelmed by your partner's presence and want distance in the relationship. Is this true for you, my type 6 friends? You then look for reassurance that you didn't push your partner away. You desire optimal distance, close enough to not feel abandoned, but far enough to not feel smothered. If you are in a relationship with a type 6, is this true of them? You tend to have the following relationship issues. You test others to see if they stay committed, supportive, and loyal to you. You might freeze up or vent your anxieties. You can vacillate between being dependent or being rebellious. You can suspect, blame, or project onto others, causing distrust and tension in your relationships. One question I would have for you as a type 6 is question what your reality is, meaning there is so much that goes on in the panel of voices inside your head. Like we talked about at the beginning of this little statement here is you can feel uncertain in one moment and nervous and need reassurance, and then the next you need space because you're overwhelmed. There's a lot of chatter going on inside. So the question I have is, what is reality? Because the projection of your fear onto your relationship is probably not helping too much. So ask your partner some of these questions and see if this is true. Last and certainly not least, type 7s. Let's talk about some relationship issues you may find yourself in. Others seek you as a companion because of your fun energy, openness to new experiences, and optimism. You are a breath of fresh air to more subdued personalities. You are engaging, stimulating, and generous with yourself and your resources. You love sharing your adventures with a companion, but the same high-energy approach that draws people to you can also drive away your partners. They can become exhausted by your non-stop, activity-packed life. Other relationship problems include relationships can become very one-sided, always focused on you. You become impatient with the slower pace of others, demanding immediate gratification. You escape difficult conversations or emotional pain. You falsely believe that others will not support you if you are down or depressed. That last one there is a big one, because I want you as a type 7 to remember that the storyline, right? This is like a major theme for us, is when when subconscious, when unhealthy, when average, when on autopilot, the storyline in which we all live and the storyline in which you live is most likely not true. So the storyline is that you believe that you will not be supported if you are down or depressed. So you keep the energy up, you keep the facade up. And so what I would ask of you, and what your partner might ask of you, is to let that fall, right? Be honest, be vulnerable about what you're feeling and where you're at. And I promise you, your relationship will be better, not worse. All right, my friends, that is the end of episode number 7, I believe. I don't remember exactly the number. Somebody tell me. But I am looking forward to launching this digital course for you. It's going to be 5 sessions. It'll be cheaper than, obviously, my in-person sessions, and I wanted to have that available for you. And it's going to be available by Black Friday. That's right. We're making the official announcement when it's available, because if I don't put a deadline on it, I'm never going to get it done. So it will be available by Black Friday. We'll have Black Friday sales and whatever else. I don't know. I've never really done any of this before. But I'm very excited to share this information, because when I get to sit down with somebody and actually coach them, their lives change, and I love doing it. So that's it for the podcast this week. I hope you are well. Be well. I'll see you next week. And remember, you are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become. Bye.